We continue to follow the developing situation in Russia and Ukraine. Vladimir Putin spoke this afternoon, saying he recognizes parts of eastern Ukraine as independent. Now, I asked USC Upstate Associate Professor Matt Placek what this means and why this is a red flag for the United States.
Recognition of these two eastern regions of Ukraine basically gives the pretext of a big question of, does this mean the entirety of those two regions, or just the parts that are part of this conflict that have withdrawn from Ukraine? And so this becomes an international event in that usually when new states are created, when new countries are created and recognized, either it's done so by the UN or by multiple states, multiple countries at a time. But basically, it's Russia. I've seen Syria has also offered to basically recognize these two as break-off regions, and then, of course, the West will not recognize them as break-off regions or independent regions. So, does that become the pretext for a larger war in Ukraine by basically saying that these two regions are being improperly held by the Ukrainian government in Kiev?
We also heard Putin urging lawmakers within Russia to sign those treaties for those rebel regions, which would then enable Moscow's military support for those areas. Again, these are rebel regions in Ukraine. Are a lot of those rebels coming from Russia, or are they, in fact, Ukrainians? There might be a little confusion there.
Yeah, it's a complex situation because you do have Russian nationals which live in those regions. But there are certainly Russian troops in those parts of eastern Ukraine and have been since 2014. This looks and feels a lot like Crimea in that sense, where Russia essentially gave the pretext of, hey, we acknowledge that you're independent, and then Crimea, they allowed a vote, and Crimea voted basically with at the end of a gun barrel to join the Russian Federation.
Now, we did just learn President Biden plans to order new sanctions on Moscow after Putin's announcement today. So this includes prohibiting new investment, trade, and financing in those two independent regions recognized by Putin. The European Union says it will do the same.